We got to understand here the educational program that you have to be able to figure out whether it will go on the right lines where the people will end up in a situation where they can be able to really control themselves. You understand what I'm saying? With no education, the people take this local foundation and start stealing money because they won't be really educated to why it's the people's thing anyway. You understand what I'm saying? With no education, you have neo-colonialism instead of colonialism, like you got in Africa 9, like you got in Haiti. So what we're talking about is there has to be educational program. That's very important. As a matter of fact, it's so important for us that a person has to go through 6 weeks of our political education before he can consider himself a member of the party, able to even run down ideology for the party. Why? Because if they don't have an education, then they're nowhere. You dig what I'm saying? They're nowhere because they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. You might get people caught up in the emotionalist movement. You understand me? You might get them caught up in because they're poor and they want something. And then if they're not educated, they want more. And before you know it, they'll be capitalists. And before you know it, we'll have Negro imperialists.
This educational process is necessary, and it's the people that will cause the revolution, and it's the people that will cause the change in the country. It's simply the vanguard of the revolution, and we plan to teach the people the strategy and the necessary tools to liberate themselves.
Fascism. Well, let's look at it. First, let's identify the times that we're in. Now we live in a time where surveillance is at an all-time high. Any and everything you do is recorded. We live in a time where if you're boycotting against things that affect the rights of the people, there is a presence of law enforcement, not just local, not just state, but even interference from the federal that comes and suppresses you at the protests, sometimes your job, even sends those to infiltrate movements to cause disturbances that impact the collective work, that impact the cooperation. Some of these ways that they suppress, as we said, the soft way is just surveillance and investigations and infiltration. But they even outright, excuse me, they even outright put their hands on you, beat you up, they mace you, they tase you, they arrest you. They even have shock troops, support groups. You heard of them, that defend them. We spoke on that outright, like Proud Boys, like 3% militia, the Oath Keepers. They do the work and they help gang stalk you. They look you up on social media. They reblog, repost your post. They send it to other groups. They look to see where you'll be. They follow your flyers. They go to your events. They record you at your events. They inform, alert the authorities of your presence. Even sometimes, they counter-protest you, so to speak. At January 6th were professors, lawyers, business owners, police officers, even military men. As noted, one of the, what was his name? Department of Defense, something Flynn. It escapes my mind right now. Please bear with me. Yeah. can't remember his name, but he was exposed as aiding. So when we go to fascism, textbook definition is a populist political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation and often race above the individual. It is associated with the centralized, autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader or oligarchy that is characterized by severe economic and social regimation and by forcibly suppression of oppositions. Fascism seeks to crush the rights of the individual. It seeks to get totalitarian control, and anything that doesn't agree with it, it cuts it out of life. It jails them. It surveys them. It makes them hard to move around. Literally. We've seen some of this practice during the COVID era, where there is curfews, there's ID checkpoints, there's questions of the nature of your arrival and departure. Again, fascism seeks to control the means of all social life, and if it finds any fault in your behavior, if it looks at you as being one who is influential, to revolt, to move against its authority, it seeks to suppress you, crush you, and those who you are organized with. And you. Free land. When we look at novelty, nostalgia, novelty is something that is of newness and uniqueness, something that's unusual, something that in itself is made in small capacities, something that is peculiar. And as we see nostalgia, we know nostalgia to be that which is, in a way, wanting a return, wanting to go to moments of the past, capture it, invoke it, and be in that same previous time when whatever that was at its heights, or even at its lowest. And as this novelty nostalgia happens, it brings on a fanaticism. It brings on wanting the constant, repeated, same drawn out plans, the same drawn out initiatives, again, from a previous time ago. And as it's constantly been said that hindsight is 20/20, but also nostalgia, the longing and the wanting for a previous heyday, nostalgia also clouds the memory. Nostalgia makes something appear to be better than it originally was, and again, that in itself is the most reactionary technique of organizing. Well, you say, why? Well, the Novelty Nostalgia Group is not just a way to organize based off of a past golden age. It's also a way of keeping this group leadership the same way, even at the expense of growth in this organization, even at the expense of raising people from being followers to leaders, raising people from being associates to members. When you want to see if something is novelty nostalgia, you ask yourself, are the leadership in this group, is it a small grouping of musical chairs? Do they talk in the echo chamber where they're just talking down to those in other areas of ranks that are quote unquote lower than them, without a regard of hearing differences of opinions, without a regard of hearing criticisms, without a regard of having democratic centralism in their voting? When you see these groups, they parade themselves on the past glory of past leaders, of past eras in development. But when it's time to promote people in leadership, due to novelty nostalgia, they hold on to an elitist mind state. And the group is now controlled by an elitism that again plays musical chairs with the leadership. The same old members who run in the same old friend circle. Everything is individualist because the membership does not grow, does not mature. The membership don't become leaders. In these groups, if anything, you see a high turnover rate. You see some of these members rule till they get old. And they use the youth as batteries, as drones to carry out their mission of self-gratification and indulgence. These groups thrive off chauvinism. They thrive off personality worship. And when you're not one to worship personality, when you're one to make criticisms, it is said that you're one who is against unity. But when we look at unity with the novelty, nostalgia lens, unity is you do what I say-ism. Unity is a one-way street with the novelty, nostalgia group. And that one way is to serve this elite group that is now your new master. A monarchical dictatorship. Where you follow instructions based on how they feel. Based on how many years these people have been doing what they're doing. Based on who is this such and such title. Who's this such and such rank? Who has this such and such many people following them? Who has this amount of this money? And as they use these leaders of the previous days, they use them in a way to intoxicate the people, to cloud their judgment, to worship the person and ignore the principles. These groups have some of the highest amounts of liberalism, where the rules the tenets, the discipline differentiates between person to person. They're handled according to the nepotism. Who's friends with who knew who has many people that follow them. And then soon, you'll see that as the group deteriorates memberships, as it deteriorates in its initiatives and efforts, as it deteriorates in its political education, you will see that what's left is a shell of its former self. Paper soldiers, highly decorated, have all the badges, have all the buttons and patches, have all the medals. They brag of their former glory. They brag of their greatness. But when it comes about collective work and responsibility, true unity of equal share, they practice not. These essentially become personality codes. These essentially become friend circles, where leadership is now just passed down hereditarily from friend to friend. And as it basks in its former glory, as it declarates itself in the highest honor, as it uses up the people's energy, it's deteriorating. And it only has life when people join and fall into the trap of the cult of personality. When they fall into this echo chamber, this talk back of the same drawn out initiatives, the same drawn out problems. But there are no new solutions. The nostalgia of this group makes it so used to insanity, so comfortable with repeating the same thing after the same thing, trying to strive to a former glory of the past, that it doesn't even bother to really practice what it preaches. It is about the look. It's no more about the task. It's no more about aiding. It's no more about the infrastructure. It's about the self-absorption. It's about the role playing. The quotes of freedom, but none of the actions. It disregards criticisms. It disregards implementation of education. Because truly, it doesn't want the information. The nostalgic novelty group is used as a pad, a lunch pad, and a lily pad for code of personality is used for those to form sociopathic ways to supplant and trick and coerce the minds of others to make themselves less than, unequal to, while having a personal adoration, an addictive wanting to fit in to this elitism. And they stay there. Many of them that do enter these groups stay there hoping, wanting some type of role to transform themselves into a grandiose leader. It's named more liking until an undisciplined motorcycle club. It's more liking to a popularity contest in a high school friend group. The nostalgic novelty. Trying to achieve something of the past, but have not did the history to understand the past. Therefore, it is unable to be valuable in the present. And again, with these elitist reactionary groups that thrive off a hereditary monarchical structure, there's only one thing involved. And that's the absorption of ego, the satisfaction of individualism. It seeks to dismantle, it seeks to not abide by the rules of scientific socialism, revolutionary science.